Welcome to Educators Podcast. Hi, my name is Swapnil. I work as an intensivist at St. George Hospital in Sydney, and today it's my great pleasure to welcome a very special guest from New York, Dr. Ruth Gotian. Ruth is Assistant Dean for Mentoring at Weill Cornell Medicine. She's also Executive Director for Mentoring Academy, and she's a Chief Learning Officer in Anesthesiology at Weill Cornell Medicine. She also serves as Assistant Professor of Education in Anesthesiology Department at Weill Cornell Medicine. Until last May, for the last 22 years, she ran the Tri-Institutional MD PhD program, a partnership with Weill Cornell Medicine, the Rockefeller University, and Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Dr. Gotian has taught classes in organizational change, and she has received various awards for her advocacy, programming, and achievement in diversity, mentoring, leadership, and for always going the extra mile. She is a well renowned speaker, and also she has published extensively on the topic of mentoring. It's my great pleasure to welcome Dr. Ruth. Welcome, Ruth.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And today I'm very excited that we are going to talk about a topic that is very close to your heart and the topic that everyone in Made World is talking about, that is mentorship. Let me start first by asking, how's your preparation for holidays going?
Everything is great. I am in New York, and you definitely get the holiday feeling.
Great. So let's move into our topic for today's discussion, that is mentorship. Now, can I start by asking a fundamental question at what mentorship is?
So, mentorship is when one person helps another person. And that's the really basic foundation of it. And it can be done in a myriad of ways. And it doesn't always need to be someone who's senior to you. But at the end of the day, it's someone who gives you multiple perspectives to think about so that you, as the mentee, can make the decision.
Okay. Now, a lot of time we as educators think that we are mentoring our learners all the time. Then why do we need to learn about mentorship?
So there's three different ways. There are actually multiple different ways of mentoring someone, and there are different parts if you wanted to break down mentorship. So we have to be clear about what it is that we're doing. Is someone our mentee because we're their role model? We're someone that they want to try and become because of a role we have? Is it mentorship because we're providing guidance over their career? Is it coaching that we're helping with something very, very specific, a technique or access? Or are we their sponsor where we actually talk about them and move their career forward by providing them a platform? So there are different avenues for that. And there are also for the mentorship, there are different ways of doing it, right? So I talk about everyone should have at least 3 mentors: somebody who's senior to them, someone who's at their level, and someone who is junior to them. So at least 3.
Okay. Now, you pioneered and ran this Mentoring the Mentor program at your university, and which was a huge success. Can you please tell us more about it?
Sure. So very often we have the title of mentor, but we've never been trained as a mentor. And our only example of what a mentor is what our own mentor was like. And maybe that mentor was great, and maybe that mentor was not great. So I tried to develop a series of training where we teach them how to be mentors. We treat them how to listen, how to mentor, how to offer perspectives without having our mentee mimic our own career. Because remember, our own career is just one way of doing it. Also teaching them how to provide scaffolding, support, and challenges that are appropriate for their developmental stage, so that they can really be challenged enough without feeling like they're drowning, and not babying them too much either. So there has to be that happy medium. So teaching them how to do that, also thinking about some scenarios that often come up and trying to offer alternatives of how they can deal with that. Finally, there are different types of mentors and different types of mentees. So as a mentee, you might appreciate getting a lot of information and learning it on your own. So you might enjoy listening to podcasts, or you might enjoy reading an article or reading a book, or you might be the exact opposite. You might want to talk through a challenge with your mentor. So if your mentor is the kind of person that wants to just throw an article and say, why don't you read this or these 5 articles and then let me know if you have any questions, that's one approach. But if you're the kind of person who needs to talk through a challenge, reading all those articles is not going to be the best approach for you. So it's important to train the mentors to figure out how they can determine their mentees' learning style and mentee style and pivoting appropriately so that you can actually mentor them in a way that they can really get the most out of it. And you're not talking at them or over them, but really with them and really mentoring them according to their mentee style.
Okay, so that's, I think, important, that understand your mentee first and then choose your style appropriately.
That's right, because as the mentor, it's not about you, right? It's about the mentee, not about the mentor.
That's correct. And what are the challenges that you came across during this program?
So it's interesting because mentors don't like to be told what to do, because very often I hear I've been doing it for so long, so I know what to do. But I feel there's always something that you can learn from somebody else, right? And again, someone senior to you, junior to you, and at your level. So instead of having your N of one experience, if you can really learn and collaborate from others so that you're not working in a silo, and you can learn effective strategies that are both professionally taught to you, but also learn from the cohort of people who are with you. So being open to that is the first step.
It's funny that you said that often we assume that we are already kind of mentor as we grow up in our career. And it kind of resonates with my own experience that I just started assuming that I am a good mentor. And that's kind of dilemma amongst the educator community now, that we think that being a professor, being the university lecturer, we already think that we can mentor someone. Why do you think that we as a community are still struggling?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure that everyone has had great mentors. And I think their experience either having mentors or being a mentor is limited, and they haven't had training. So getting these different perspectives and different experiences and always being open to the learning is what's so important. And I think people just haven't had the opportunity. They haven't had the time. They may not have had the interest. They might think that they're doing it perfectly already. I always feel that there's room to grow. Always. Even this mentor has mentors. We're still struggling to get it right because we just haven't had the focused experience and we haven't been open to collaboration. So our experience has often been an N of one. It's the experience that we ourselves have had. And not everyone has had great mentors. So we are often mimicking what we ourselves have received. When there are 1,001 different ways of doing it, and we should really be open to learning as many of those that we're comfortable with. So learning how to really engage with our mentee in a way that's working for them, as opposed to the way that's working for the mentor. We're also getting busier and busier, and this is especially in academic medical centers. There's just more put on the plate of the physician and the scientist, more demands and less time. And mentoring takes time. It really takes time. But what I would like to offer is it doesn't always need to be a sit-down 1-hour meeting. You can break that up into 10-minute chunks. Some of it can even be done in the hallway between cases. There's just these little tidbits of information that you can get that might completely reroute the way you're considering doing things. So just be open to opportunities, open to collaboration, open to learning from others, and don't think that every mentoring opportunity has to be formal with a contract and a 1 hour and a sit down. And it doesn't have to be formal. In fact, the most productive mentoring relationships are informal.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that's a really important advice for all the upcoming educators, that commitment, and especially the time commitment is crucial. Now, a little bit more about your program, the Mentoring the Mentor program. How do you choose the participants in this program?
So that particular program was actually developed for a summer program that I ran called Gateways to the Laboratory Summer Program, which was to really focus on our diversity issue with the lack of underrepresented students becoming physician scientists. So the Gateways to Laboratory was a summer program, and the mentoring program was for MD PhD students who we called Big Sibs, and they were mentoring the college students. So it was really to train them how to become mentors. We wanted to amplify this program now at Weill Cornell to all the different levels of the faculty and anyone who wants to. My point being that anyone at any time could be a mentor. A student can definitely be a mentor, right? So medical students or MD PhD students or graduate students can mentor college students, and college students can mentor high school students, and high school students can mentor middle school students. There's no beginning and no end to where mentorship can start and end. And in fact, one thing to realize is just because someone was your mentor early on doesn't mean they have to be your mentor for life. Mentors come in and out of your life and your career based on where you are and what you need. So you need to always be looking for people who can help you move forward, just like you always have to look for people that you can mentor and give back. So mentorship is reciprocal.
Yeah, that's really nice quote. Mentorship is reciprocal. I like that. Now, I often experience that the onus is on mentees to find a right mentor, which is often equal to your kind of role model, the person that you look up to, and that's what you want to be in your career. How do you look at this process from your end? And what is your advice to mentees that how should they choose their mentor?
So research has shown that when a mentor and a mentee is officially assigned and it becomes formal, it's not always successful. And when it's not successful, it can actually do more harm than good. It is a nice launching point so that you have a contact person, but I would be flexible and not have that person be your only person. But I would really broaden it up so that you have a whole advisory board for yourself and try to find as many mentors as possible from as many different fields and industries as possible. So if you're a physician, not every mentor has to be a physician. Not everyone has to be from your department. I think one of the things that we're doing through the Mentoring Academy at Weill Cornell is we're actually bringing in mentors from different industries, from business, from law, from the military, because if we're only confined to our one way of thinking, we're just going to be thinking in the box. And we need to not just think outside of the box, we need to throw out the box and really look at how do they do certain things in the military? How do they do things in law? How do they do things in business? Now, as mentees, you don't need to go up to someone and say, will you be my mentor? That's kind of creepy, right? Just like you don't go up and ask someone, will you be my friend? It just naturally and organically happens. Let that happen. So I think for the mentee, you just need to put yourself in a position where you can meet as many people as possible. And that requires a lot of networking. And we can talk about how introverts network versus how extroverts network, but it is possible for both to do it, and both should do it. So just try to meet as many people as possible. You can do it online, you can do it in person, meet people who are senior to you, who can open doors for you and really work and explain things to you based on their experience. Find mentors who are at your level, who would know about opportunities that might come up if there's a call for paper or conferences or where they might have met someone that you should speak to. And then there's always someone junior to you who might know the latest technology, or they might be reading a lot more journals because maybe they have more time to read the journals. So, and they can tell you about an important article that you may wish to look into. So it's important to really be open to meeting all of these people at all these different levels, and don't only focus on mentoring with senior people. That's just one person in your advisory board.
I like this concept of advisory board and have as many as mentors possible within your career. That's really good analogy. Now, in your experience, what are the qualities of an ideal mentor?
Mm-hmm. I think they need to know how to listen, because I think it's more listening than it is talking. Right? So find out what the mentee really wants and offer options that they should consider. Make sure that you don't push on them to just copy your career, because your career is yours. You're not looking to create a mini-me. You're just trying to really get them as successful as they can be. Because remember, you're only successful as your mentees are. So it's in your best interest to really make your mentees as successful as possible. You also have to have focused time to really work with your mentee. Now, as I said, it doesn't have to be a 1-hour formal meeting. It could be a 10-minute quick meeting. It could be that you maybe are reviewing a manuscript for them, or sending an email introduction on their behalf, or talking to them about career opportunities. It doesn't have to be a lot of conversation, but when you are with them, you're not thinking about 25 other things that you have to do. And finally, the mentor should really understand the Mentee style. Are they, as we previously talked about, are they the kind that wants to process things in isolation, process the information that was given to them, think about a challenge, or do they want to talk through it? So understand how they're learning and how they're processing information and how they prefer to be mentored, and then pivot accordingly.
Okay. Again, that's such a great piece of advice. Now, there is not much training during undergraduate or specialty training about how to mentor your mentees.
Mm-hmm.
What are the resources that you will suggest for those who want to be a great mentor in their career?
Yes, there's so many things. So there's, for example, there are some articles in the medical education and medical literature by Doctors Chopra and Saint out of University of Michigan, who really talk about mentoring physicians. And they have some great articles about the misconceptions as well as the how-tos. There's also a wonderful book called Athena Rising, which talks about how men can mentor women, which is a whole other challenge that we're having. So there are no shortage of books and podcasts and articles about it. And then, of course, you can always see what other people are doing and look at social media. So, for example, we have our own social media channels at Weill Cornell. And by all means, join us and join in the fun.
Absolutely. I think that will be a great fun. Now, what's your advice to budding educators?
Understand that the mentee doesn't have to be just like you. You need to talk with them, not at them. Challenge them appropriately. So enough that they're out of their comfort zone, but not drowning. And support them, right? So when they are getting that rejection from the journal, it's the end of the world, but you've already been rejected countless times. And you know how to just shake that off and turn it around and just help them get through that. It would also be great if you could identify your own mentor style. And maybe you'll find if it's more challenging for you to pivot according to the mentee style, maybe if you made your mentor style more known, people who are looking for that would then just drift towards you. So, it's important to consider all of these things. At the end of the day, we will organically find our mentors. The challenge is there's so much mentoring that is happening at every institution, but people don't often recognize it when they see it. So I think that's our charge. Work on your critical listening skills, which is so important, and really take the time to reflect on the different things you're hearing. And then remember, you need to offer options. And that is I think that's the main goal. Again, I will say your mentee does not need to mimic your career as the mentor. So try to just learn as much as you can, be open to engaging with others and collaboration, because the more we know, the more powerful we will be.
Thank you. And if budding educators want to ask more questions or want to contact you in regards to this topic, what's your contact details?
Sure. So we have an email, which is mentoring@med.cornell.edu. And our Twitter handle is @WCM for Weill Cornell Medicine Mentoring. So it's @WCM Mentoring.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Gotian. I think this was a wonderful podcast, and I think I learned quite a lot from you today. And I think definitely this will help a lot of budding educators out there to be a great mentor in their career.
I'm happy to be of service. This was fun. Thank you.